So what's the KonMari method and what is it not? First of all, I'm Katie. I'm a certified KonMari consultant and I'm using the KonMari method for many years in my personal life and also working with my clients. Marie Kondo invented the KonMari method and it's a combination of her first and last name, like Marie Kondo, KonMari. Marie Kondo is originally from Japan and she started decluttering and organizing as a very young child. And later she created the KonMari method and a full-time business out of it. When she released her book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, she became a best-selling author, and this is also how I heard about her. So what's this KonMari method about? First, you do it only once in your life. Marie Kondo calls it a tidying festival, which means you're like tidying all of your belongings once. And you don't do it like 10 minutes a day, but you do it for several hours a day so that hopefully in a few weeks or months you will be done with it all. Once you're done and at the end, you can still maintain the things. Also, it's important to think that the person you are today is maybe not the person you are in a few months or in a few years. So you might have different goals in the future and it's okay to just revisit everything. But I think the huge amount of things at the beginning that you only do once. The second important part of the KonMari method is that you don't think about, oh, what do I want to discard? I don't need this, let me discard it. You think about what is so precious and sparks joy in my life that I want to keep it in my life. This method is a chance to reset your whole life and to change your mindset. Not just about the items you own, but also the relationships you have, the hobbies you have, your work, like everything that's part of your life. The KonMari method has 6 basic rules of tidying. So let's go through them real quick. First, commit yourself to tidying. So this doesn't just mean like, oh, I feel like tidying right now. It just means like you really commit yourself. So this means, when do you tidy? How long do you tidy? Do you need help when you do this? Do you want to do it by yourself? Where do you bring all the things that you don't want anymore, that don't spark joy? Second, imagine your ideal lifestyle. So this is a very important point because you need to have like a compass. You need to know where you're actually going. You know, for all the decisions that will follow, you need to know what your goal is. Because, right, if you put something in Google Maps and you don't want to even go there, then Google Maps will give you the wrong directions. And that's like the same with tidying. Third, finish discarding first. You might think this is very logical, but before you organize anything, you need to discard first. Because let's say you have a whole closet full of clothes, but before you decide what goes where, you need to know what's the amount in the end, and then you can make wiser decisions. Fourth, tidy by category and not by location. So this is super important because a lot of organizers always tell you, oh, just start with a drawer. So there's nothing bad about starting with a drawer, right? But in the KonMari method, you think not about a drawer, but you think about a certain category of things. Let's talk about pens. Like you might have a ton of pens and they're not just in one drawer. There might be pens in your office. There might be pens on your kitchen counter. There might be pens all over the place in your whole house. If you just organize all the pens in that area, but what's with all the other ones? And then eventually if you reach them, then you're like, oh my goodness, pens again. I cannot see pens anymore. So first of all, you collect all of the pens and then you make your decisions. Fifth, follow the right order. So that means the right order of the categories. And the categories are 5. It's like first clothes, then books, papers, then komono, which means miscellaneous, and then 5th, sentimental. And it's important that you follow this order because clothes are usually the easiest to make decisions on. And sentimental items are the most challenging things. You want to keep that until the end and don't start with it because you would feel very overwhelmed. 6th, does it spark joy, right? That's the criteria that I already mentioned earlier. It's not about what can be discarded, it's what about sparks joy. And because you imagine your ideal lifestyle, you exactly know what you want. Let's just go back to all the pens. Maybe your ideal lifestyle is to live a more minimalistic life. And then you're like, hey, I don't need like hundreds of pens. I'm happy owning 10 pens. Just as an example. So, but you have all of your pens and then you can see which ones spark joy and then again go from there. This pretty much sums up what the KonMari method is. Now let's talk about what it is not. So the KonMari method does not mean that people can hold on to everything that sparks joy. This might be a little bit controversial. However, it has to do what your ideal lifestyle is. And if your ideal lifestyle, as the example I just made earlier, are only 10 pens, then 10 pens it is, right? And not 20 and not 30, even if more of them spark joy. If you're like, oh my God, I want to have more pens and this is not enough, well, maybe then you go back and tweak your ideal lifestyle, because then you realized, hey, this is actually more important to me than I actually assumed. So you learn something new about yourself. The KonMari method is no permission slip to keep everything that sparks joy. It also does not mean that when you go shopping, that everything that sparks joy, you're just like, hey, in the cart, like that's pretty and that's pretty, let me buy it. It's just not like this. It's like, you know your ideal lifestyle, and maybe at home you like realize, I don't have a vase I really like. All the vases I had, they're like either chipped or they're not my style. And I'd really like to own a vase that I really enjoy. So of course, then you would intentionally go shopping for a vase that really sparks joy, but you're not buying every vase out there. It's not about consuming more. It's about being very intentional with what sparks joy, but also intentional about what you need and want. Another misunderstanding can be that you have an item and it does not really spark joy for you. It's not beautiful, and you don't especially find it stylish. Let's make an example about my vacuum cleaner. My vacuum cleaner is not very stylish and in itself, it does not really spark joy. However, the utility of it sparks a ton of joy for me, because I just don't want to broom my whole apartment. I rather prefer to vacuum and save time and energy. So the term sparking joy is a broader term. It just does not mean like everything that's fun or like exciting. It can also be something that's really of value for me, helping me in my everyday life. Many times you hear people speaking about the folding technique that Marie Kondo teaches. If you don't know what that is, it's a way of folding, for example, your shirts in a little square package, and then you put them like this in the drawer instead of like this. And then you can see everything that's in the drawer. And then they hear, oh, KonMari method, that's the folding technique. So, but the KonMari method is way more than only the folding technique. The folding technique is one thing, and not everybody has to do that, right? It's again, what sparks joy. For some people, the folding of their items sparks a lot of joy. They enjoy touching their clothes, seeing if there are little blemishes or if they need to fix them. They like that. Other people are like, I want to put everything on hangers, right? And that's okay too. You choose what sparks the most joy. I'm sure there are many more things what the KonMari method is and what the KonMari method is not. Probably I have forgotten some. Please type it in the comments. If you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. And if you don't want to miss the next video, then please subscribe to this channel. And if you would like to go deeper into the KonMari method, then you can download my free guide where I explain every step of the KonMari method. And if you're ready to rock and roll and declutter everything that you own, then I made a declutter list. It's a digital one, so you can use it on your phone, on your tablet, or on your computer. You can just go to heartfullydone.com/en/free. And you also can check the description box, and there I put the link. Thank you so much for watching, and I see you in the next video. Bye!